Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. For those of you who may not be aware, AT&T had its analyst day today. It's still actually ongoing, but it's 3 hours plus. There's a Q&A, so it's going to be a very long one. So I got most of the information that I felt was important for the channel and for the average consumer. I will lead with this. Not a lot of wireless information. I I knew this it was going to go this way because I've been tuned in to AT&T analyst days since like 2017, 18. They never in detail discussed their wireless plans in regards to, okay, we're going to deploy 20 to 30,000 small cells. They never present information in that detail. But I have a few talking points. You guys clearly see the picture on the screen. So you guys can already see the 2020, 2029. They're really pinpointing this decade of their biggest investments towards a lot of parts of the business. Prior to 2020, again, they were heavily involved in media. They spent a ton of money on media. So there wasn't a lot of money left for anything else. They were already doing broadband prior to 2020, but it was very small scale. They weren't scaling fiber. They just couldn't invest because they were focused on media. But now that that's done, you guys will see the difference starting 2020 through 2029. So just a few points, a few talking points. Best connectivity provider in America. That's what they're pushing internally at AT&T. That's, of course, the wireless and then the wireline network. If they want to push the best fiber, largest fiber, I'll give them that, because who's really going to challenge that, right? Verizon is going to be able to challenge that with the Frontier purchase, but that has to, that has to clear, get across the finish line, and then it has to go through an integration period. Until then, I mean, AT&T, I mean, I'll give them fiber. If that's what they want to push, I'll give them that. There's really not much that I can do to dispute that. If you look at the numbers, the NPS scores, it's just the best product out there at scale. Now, again, Verizon does own and operate Fios, mostly on the East Coast, and that's a great product too. I think they go toe to toe with that. But fiber to the prem, AT&T, I say from that perspective, AT&T does win because of the scale. They have more scale until the Frontier deal. So I want to point that out. Best connectivity provider in America. That's something that AT&T is going to push moving forward in their go-to market, their mass market strategy. Something else to point out, got to be talked about. These statistics are not future looking, but they grew their postpaid starting since 2018 through 2024 by 9 million. They went from 63 million postpaid customers to 72 million postpaid customers today. That still places them in third place, but they are growing that segment. They also grew the ARPU, which is average price per user in that segment, from $54 to $65. So it's clearly working, right? They don't offer free lines. They grow organically, natively, and they let the numbers do the talking, right? They don't give free lines or 2 lines here, 3 lines here. They don't do it. Everything they do comes at a price. You as the customer have the choice to choose which price you're comfortable with, but it works. They grew their ARPU from $54 to $65, which the investor community likes quite a bit. So now on to some of the future-looking guidance. 50 million plus households will be covered with fiber by 2029. That's a huge, ambitious goal, which is going to require a lot of investment. And investments we will get from AT&T for the next 3 years. They're going to continue to pour $22 billion of Capex back into the network. But again, most of that will be for fiber. So out of the 50 million households passed with fiber to the prem, 45 million of that will be organic native build. That's literally AT&T spending every single dollar owning and operating that part of the fiber. 45 million homes will be AT&T owned and operated. 5 million will be third party. That's where Gigapower, BlackRock comes into play, and some of the other deals that they've been striking over the last several months with Bolden Networks, et cetera, et cetera. So they are going to take a bigger piece of the pie as it pertains to the leased model that T-Mobile has been pushing. So that's future looking. That's a huge, massive, and you can kind of see the map here on the right. That's a massive deployment that they are taking on over the next few years. It's about 3 million fiber homes passed annually that they're building. That's a great pace, and that $22 billion is going to be put to good use. The fourth talking point, convergence. It's a big deal for AT&T. They're not going to lay off that story. They're going to continue to push that story. That's a story that they're going to stick to and that they've been sticking to. So out of 10 fiber customers, 4 of them use AT&T wireless. So that's a 40% conversion rate that they anticipate to continue to be able to grow as they continue to scale the fiber to the prem. So that's every 10 customers that use AT&T fiber, 4 of them have AT&T wireless as well. That's 40%. That's a huge convergence rate. So AT&T views bundling and convergence completely different, and they always bring statistics to back it up. They're not just blowing smoke. They're showing you this is working in the numbers. 10 AT&T fiber customers, 4 of them out of the 10 use AT&T wireless. That's a huge percentage. So while other carriers might downplay it and say, "Oh, convergence has been here already," none of them have been able to present that type of statistic and number. Until that happens, I mean, it's going to be a big talking point for AT&T moving forward. The fifth talking point, $22 billion Capex for the next 3 years. I know I already brought that up briefly here a little while ago, but that's huge. That's the biggest Capex out of the mobile network operators. It's bigger than Verizon's. It's insanely bigger than T-Mobile's. T-Mobile's is coming in at 9 to 10. That's over double. AT&T is investing over double the Capex on an annual basis for the next 3 years versus T-Mobile. That's massive. So most of that, I still expect majority of that to go towards fiber. That's just what we've seen, what we know, what their focus is, their priority. I don't see that changing. Why? Why would it change? They want to get to 50 million by 2029. By 2030, they want to be done with the fiber project. I don't know if that means they're going to build additional or if they're comfortable with 50 plus million. I have no idea what that looks like. By that time, we'll probably have another analyst day with a new CEO with a different strategy. So we'll have to see when that time comes. And then the sixth talking point for the wireless lovers, again, not a lot of wireless information. I said that to start the video. There just wasn't, but some good tidbits here. They expect to come in at 270 million pops of C-band by the end of 2024. I think that's a huge accomplishment from where AT&T started. I still think that's kind of a hot mess. Not saying that that number is bad, but I still think it's a hot mess because a lot of people are saying, okay, out of the 270 million, how much of that is C-band? How much of that is DoD? How much of that is both? Right. So from that perspective, still a hot mess. They didn't stick to the one touch. I think that was where the confusion. They started upgrading sites and they didn't add DoD. They added C-band, but not DoD. Don't know why that happened. I'm sure there's several explanations out there, but it just didn't happen. So that's still kind of a hot mess. And then by the end of 2026, they're looking to hit 300 million pops. So that's way behind the competition. T-Mobile's already there now. They're at 300, growing that, right? 307 million pops. Verizon will get there next year sometime. They'll get to 300 million next year. So AT&T is about a year. By these statistics, they're about a year behind Verizon, and they're about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years maybe behind T-Mobile. So that's those are really the only numbers that they gave that were of importance, I feel, for the channel and everyone that's a wireless enthusiast. Not much else, right? They announced that radio deal this morning that's going to be for the C-RAN. So we're probably going to see more of the C-band on the C-RAN at scale. But that's 4T4R. Again, Verizon deploys 16T, 16R. Cutting corners. Is it a better financial decision? Yes, but they're still cutting corners. So another thing that I also want to talk about to close out the video, modernization. They're going through almost all of the sites are being modernized again. So we're going to see that now, right? The rest of this year, Nokia to Ericsson 2025, Nokia to Ericsson 2026, Nokia to Ericsson. That's a big deal. That is a big deal, big priority for the company. So a good chunk of the capex, the 22 billion, is going to go towards that. So I don't want to downplay that. That's still going to be a big mission for them, and that's at scale. We're talking not just urban. Now we're talking about outside of city limits, interstates, rural areas that have to be ripped from Nokia to Ericsson. So that's going to play a huge part for that next 3 years of that $22 billion capex. They wanna do the standalone core a bit more aggressively. They did talk about that, moving IoT, wireline, and everything else. They want to combine that into one core. They're doing that aggressively. Again, they are behind that 8 ball. T-Mobile beat everyone to that, so no secret there. And then it's just really just the fiber and the 5G piece. That's really what they're going to go big on, and that's kind of where we stand. So just wanted to share that with you guys. Not a lot of big updates from AT&T, as I mentioned. We'll see how it turns out. We'll talk more. I'll have to tune into the rest of the video and then the Q&A. Maybe we get some additional information. I highly doubt it, but they don't really discuss wireless in detail. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. See y'all in the next one. Peace.